I my voice is going away and I don't know why. I have a weird thing going on. But I had an interesting time attempting to sell my Ford Fiesta that I wrecked earlier this year. It was like March. It got wrecked and it was at this it's like a body shop attached to like another something car place. I don't know. Um, and my my car was there for a while, and back in April, um, it was taken to this place called Venom Motorsports, and I texted this number. I don't know how I got the number. I guess maybe the guy called me from this number and was like, "Yeah, you need to text me and whatever." Um, so I texted him on April 11th asking for an update on my car, and he didn't answer. And then on the 14th, same thing. I asked for an update, no answer. And then on the 16th, he sends me these pictures. So, um, that's the damage to the car on the front. And then he sent like these other pictures right here. Whatever. But this was like the main thing. The hood, you can't pop the hood because it's smushed in. It's just stuck. So like you can't open that no matter what you do. And then he sends the estimate for all the repairs. And just to clarify, this is just the estimate, like before anything was even done, like at all. And it would total to be $3,736.81. And that includes the bumper cover, some kind of bumper cover accessory, I guess. And then it says to replace the headlamps, replace the hood panel, which, it's stuck closed, and the left rear door, because that was crashed into before this accident, in a separate situation. So I saw that estimate and I was like, good God, that's a lot of money. So I said, thank you. I'll let you know what we decide in terms of fixing it or replacing it. And then 2 days later, I said, this is important. I said, hello, I think we're going to scrap the car. Do you know of anyone who might buy it off me? Also, when would be a good day or when would be a good time or day for me to get everything from my car? And that got no response. Other than the pictures he sent me, this dude didn't say anything else. His name is Victor. And when you look at the estimate, let me not put my address on there just in case. You get this phone number right here. That's the one that pops up on Google too. So eventually in May I got my stuff from my car, and this guy is there, and he doesn't work at Venom, but he works at this place next door called Fandino's or something. And he's doesn't speak English like at all. And he's like, I'll buy your car, just like call me. And he gave me his number, and I wrote it down on my phone, but I couldn't keep track of like what number it was. It's gone. And so I didn't really do anything with the car I don't know why I didn't do anything with it. Um, until my Chevy Sonic started acting up and giving me issues. Um, and then I was like, wow, I need money. And so I found my title for the Ford because I was like, I don't know where it is. And then I found it. And and I was like, I need to figure out where it is though. Where is my car? I don't know where it's at. And then we finally figured out it's at Venom. It's over there. And so I tried to call them because I knew that they said someone over there wanted to buy the car, but no one would ever answer. I called that number that was on the estimate, and no one ever answered the phone when I called that number. So, and there was no voicemail set up, so you couldn't leave a message. So I called Fandino next door, and I was like, "Hey, do you guys um uh or like this was after we like figured out like yes, my car is indeed there. Um I was like, yeah, there's this guy he told me like a few months back that he was like considering buying the car, and I just want to know if that's like, you know, something that we could do. And he talked to the guy that I had talked to, and he was like, yeah, he says if you come in, you have to like come in to see us, and you can negotiate a price with him. And I was like, cool, I'll do that. So I was supposed to go yesterday, but I had a million things to do, so I didn't go yesterday. I went today. I didn't sleep last night at all. I did a bunch of homework, and then I went over there. I got there at like almost 10:30, and uh, I was waiting on Dad to respond to a message, and then this guy, he like kind of waves at me from afar, and I was like, oh. So I walk over to him, and I'm like, hey, I called you guys last week about my Ford Fiesta, and I know there's like someone that wants to like buy it off of me potentially. And the guy was like, it's the Ford Fiesta. I was like, yeah, it's the Ford Fiesta. He was like, yeah, it's over here. And I was like, okay, cool. And he was like, it's been here for months. And I was like, yes, it has been there for months. And he's like, the transmission's no good. Like, I don't know how much they're gonna want to buy it off of you. And he was like, we assumed you just like abandoned the car because you took the license plate and like everything, like all your belongings out of the car, and just left it here and didn't say anything. And I was like, okay, valid, yes, that's that, yes, but someone wants to buy the car, and that's what I'm here for. And he was like, we could just apply for our own title for the car. I was like, no. I'm here because someone wants to buy it off of me. And I was like, I have the title with me. Like this is the route we're going down. And so we went over to the car, and I was like, yeah, this is it. This is my car. And he was like talking about the transmission, and he's like it's been like fixed up and stuff, and I'm like, no, it hasn't. I was like, it can't be fixed up because I'm seeing there's still damage. They just put the bumper cover back to hide that like part that's going in. Um and like all the other damage was still there. And he was saying like, yeah, the transmission's bad. It's not good. And I was like, how do you know? And he never gave me like a straight answer. Um, and I don't know what he even said, but he was like, yeah, it runs, but like the transmission's bad. I was like, do you have the key? I was like, let me see for myself. So he gave me the key, and I tried to unlock the car, but like I guess I'm assuming that the battery in the key fob is dead, probably. And then the car itself was also dead, I learned, because I tried to crank it up and it didn't crank up. And but before I even got in the car, I like looked through the window of the driver's side door, and I look over in the passenger seat, and I'm like, what is that? And it's just like this giant pile of clothes in the seat. And I was like, I I took everything out of the car. Like I didn't leave any clothes behind, did I? And so I opened the door, and it's a bunch of pants. Like like there were camouflage pants, denim, whitewash, but just a mountain of pants in the seat. I was like, and I before I even got in the car, the guys, they walked away, cause at this point, oh no, it was still Victor, it was still him, he had walked away, and I shouted as soon as I was getting in the car. I was like, someone's got their crap in here. I was like, someone's got their stuff in here. Like, what? And so I continued looking around. I tried to crank up the car. It was obviously dead. And I start looking around, and the console is just like dismantled. Like all the knobs are exposed, and like everything underneath is exposed. It's like that the cover was just taken off. And like there was like a little silver like frame that went around the gear shift, and it was gone. I was like, okay, everything's just exposed now, and where are these parts? And then I look on the floor of the passenger side in the front, and the little silver frame is on the floor of the car. And then in the back seat, I look, and not only is the cover for the entire console sitting in the back seat, but also dirty t-shirts are in the back seat. I was like, whose clothes are in my car? I was like, someone's moved in. Someone is chilling out in here. There's a water bottle in the cup holder, and the driver's seat was reclined all the way back. It's like someone's taking a nap in here, someone's changing their clothes in here, someone's drinking their drink, and fiddling with the console and taking everything apart. I was like, what is happening? And so I got out of the car, and I was like, I went back up to Victor. I was like, someone's pants are in the seat. And he was like, yeah, they've been like working on it, like they've been fixing it up. I was like, no, I didn't say for them to do that. And he was saying like, yeah, we messaged you, we called you, and you never answered. And he was like, yeah, I messaged you. And I was like, I never got a message from you. I didn't get a phone call, nothing. And he was like, hold on. And then he pulled out his phone and pulled out some text messages. And he's like, he shows me his phone, and he's like, see, I sent you this message right here. And the message he shows me is this one. My message to him. And on his end, it was gray. And it was on this side of the screen, which is a message sent from someone else. And I read it, like I looked at it real close, and I read it, and I was like, no. I was like, that's my message to you, asking about selling my car and wanting to scrap it. Not saying that I was just gonna abandon the car, not saying that I wanted it to be repaired or worked on, I said I was going to scrap it and that I wanted to see if anyone would buy it off of me. And I was like, you didn't respond to me. And then I tried to call the number and no one answered. And he's like, well, I told you to call my cell phone number. I was like, why would I call your cell phone number? And how would I remember that months later when that's like buried in my text messages? And and I was like, I called the number that shows up on Google, like for the location of the store. And he's like, no, that's the office phone. Like, you're supposed to call my phone. I was like, then why is the office phone the one that's online and at the top of the estimate sheet if it's not meant to be called? It's like, why would you just expect your customers to call your cell phone? and and when I told him, I was like, that's my text message. He was just like, oh. It's like, yeah, oh, that's my message to you. And just proving my point to him that like I reached out about the car and they didn't get back to me, not the other way around. And at that point I was like, I can't talk to this man anymore. And I was like, I told him, I was like, all I know is that someone that works at Venom told someone that works at Fandino, who told me on the phone last week that they wanted to buy the car and that I needed to come in to negotiate a price. I was like, I just want to talk to whoever that was. And he was like, oh, it's probably that guy over there. I was like, okay, so it wasn't even you. And I knew that because it was a guy that only spoke Spanish. And so I went over and I started talking to this dude. I don't know his name. And I'm like, one of your guys wanted to buy my Ford Fiesta, and I just want to talk to him. And he was like, yeah, it's that guy, but he only speaks Spanish, so I'm gonna translate. I was like, okay, cool. And I he asked me what my offer was. He was like, what do you want for it? And I was like, well, Kelly Blue but Kelly Blue Book is estimated to be like worth around like, what was it, $13.58. So $1,358. And I was like, so that's where I want to start. And the guy translating said, he translated from the dude that wanted to buy it. He's like, well, he's saying that he's like already done like repairs and replacements on the car, which is like a rough estimate, like 1,500. And so he's like basically saying that like you could give us 1,500 and you can have the car back to like cover the cost of the repairs that he did. I was like, I'm not interested in taking the car back. I was like, I want to sell it to the guy that said he wanted to buy it. And then he was like, well, you know, like 1,350 is like too much. And he said he'll go down to 1,000, but that he doesn't want to go like over 1,000, because like he'd done all these repairs and they were like worth a certain amount or something. And so something about 700 or 300, wanting me to pay one or the other, I don't remember. And I was like, I'm not gonna pay for anything. It's like, I didn't tell you to do these repairs. I didn't tell you to replace the door that was crashed into last year. which he didn't even replace. It was the exact same door. Um, and so I was like, no, I'm not gonna pay for this because I did not ask for these repairs to be done. And I was like, there's a bunch of stuff in the car too. Like it's already been like poked and prodded at. Like and so we went over to the car and the guy's like he said he'll take all of his like clothes out of the car and and you can have it back. He was like he doesn't want it anymore. I was like, what do you mean he doesn't want it anymore? I was like, he turned this into like his little DIY project. He's like moved in, he's got his clothes everywhere, and he's got his little water bottle over there, and the seats reclined. He's been like napping in there, resting, and now he doesn't want the car. Why? And and I told him too, I was like, there no repairs have been done on this car. Everything's the same except the door that was crashed into is no longer dented. It's like it's been like kind of like sucked back out. Um but like you can still see like some of the scratches on it. So I was like, he didn't replace the door. And the translator, he was like, yeah, he did. Like it's not dented anymore. And I was like, that's the same door. I'm telling you, that's the same door. And he was like, but look on the other door, it's the same. I was like, okay, listen. This is a 2011 Ford Fiesta. And that door happens to have scratch marks in the exact same spot that my car door got hit in January 2023. Or at some point in 2023. And I looked at the inside and I was like, the inside of the door is the exact same as the inside of that door. I was like, that's the same door that was attached to the car when it got here. I was like, he did not replace that door. I told the guy, I was like, what are the odds of him finding an exact match for a 2011 black Ford Fiesta? It's like, what are the odds? And he was like, yeah, that's true. I was like, yeah, I know. Yeah, yes. And so the guy he took out his clothes out of the car. And that's when I started. I was like, he doesn't want this anymore. Like he's moved into the car. His clothes are everywhere, and now he doesn't want it anymore. And I was just going off, and I think Dad was on the phone at this point, so he heard me, and then all of a sudden, after he takes the clothes out of the car, he starts kind of collapsing the back seats and like folding them to where he could have access to the trunk, because for some reason the trunk wouldn't open, because I tried to open the trunk and I couldn't open it. Like it just was stuck, and no matter what I tried to do. And so I was like, oh, he's got stuff in the trunk, maybe that's why I couldn't open the trunk. And then he pulls out this giant box, like this giant black box, and it's got like some kind of thing on the top, like some kind of technology, whatever. And I was like, what is that? And so he just walks away with it, and the translator's still next to me, and I pointed at the guy, and I was like, what is that? And he was like, it's a speaker. I was like, a speaker? He's like, yeah, it's a speaker. I was like, okay. I was like, he put a speaker in my car? And he was like, no, 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 no. He was like, those are the speakers, and like pointed to the speakers that are like installed in the car. I was like, I know those are the speakers to the car, but he put that speaker in. It's like, that's not mine. He was like, yeah, that's his. He forgot that he put it in there, so he took it out. He forgot it was in there. I was like, are you not seeing the issue? It's like he's taken apart the car inside, he's piled up his jeans, his pants in the passenger seat for whatever reason. He's got his dirty t-shirts in the back seat. And now there's like a brand new speaker in the trunk of the car. And I was like, a speaker is in like to like play music. And he was like, yeah, he can play music. I was like, what? Like I was like, he's obviously been using this car as like some little hideaway, like resting spot. Because he's blasting his music from his speaker that he put in my car. And I was like, and there were ants crawling around in the seats, and dirt was everywhere, and I was like, I don't want this car. I was like, I didn't ask you guys to do any of this. I didn't give you permission to do any of this, to make any of these kinds of changes and alterations and repairs and whatever. I was like, I'm not paying anything for this. And it took a while, but then I told him again. I was like, I'm not paying that. And all of a sudden he's like, yeah, he'll do 1,000. I was like, oh, so he does want to buy it now. And he's like, yeah, he'll buy it for 1,000. He's not going to buy it for anything more than that. And my and Dad, he was like, take it. Like, take the offer. And I was like, okay, we'll do that. And he's like, he can get the money to you on Friday. If you come back here on Friday, he can give you the money then. I was like, I came all the way out here on no sleep with work later today and school assignments that I could be working on instead, or sleeping. And I was like, I spent $30 on an Uber to get here. And he was like, ooh, where do you live? I was like, I live in Winter Garden. And this is Orlando. And I was like, I don't understand why we can't do it right now. And so he went over and talked to the guy again. And like, I followed him. And he's like, he says he can drop off the money at your house on Friday. I was like, my house? I was like, it's like, I am, no. And, but then, he was like, yeah, we can like, give you the money, and then you hand over the title, and that's it. I was like, and at that point I saw Dad on the phone, so I was like, they're saying they can bring the money to my house, and but I didn't give them my address. I told them, I was like, there's like a community building in my neighborhood. It's like where all the mailboxes are. It's where like the pool is. I was like, we can meet right there. We can meet there. And he was like, yeah, I'll call you on Friday. Like, we have your number. And he like made sure it was mine. I got a call from him in that moment as like a test. And he was like, yeah, I'll call you that morning. And we'll get the address and we'll head over there. I was like, okay. And I was like, it's gonna be cash, right? And he was like, yeah, cash. And I was like, okay. And then I got in my Uber and went home. But just to provide a visual for the state of the interior of the car when I went to see it today, so you can see where they can it focus, please focus on the photo. you can see where they took apart the console, like the exterior of it. Um, so this usually has like that silver frame around it. Gone. It's actually on the floor over there. Haha. And then this whole black like covering is in the back seat. And you can see the pants, which that is a pile of pants in the passenger seat of my Ford Fiesta. And when I like I like kind of moved them a little bit, like I didn't know if like something was underneath them, like I don't know. So I just like barely moved them and all this dust and dirt went flying everywhere. I was like, okay, these have been here for a while. Like this is like this dude's dirty laundry or something. I don't freaking know. It was nasty. And so that was very shocking to see. Not my clothes in my car, someone else's. And um and then this was the back seat. Like that's the so that's like where the knobs are, right there. And then that's like where the gear shift is. Yeah, sitting in the back seat. And yeah, pants right there. Yeah, I was very shocked to see that. And that's what really kind of yeah, what's the word I'm looking for? That's what set me off. I was like, this isn't funny. And the fact that the guy in the beginning had tried to tell me that my message was his message to me when it wasn't, and then finding that they had started like poking and prodding at the car while also putting their personal belongings in there and putting a speaker in. And then all of a sudden not wanting to buy it anymore. And then turning around like 5 minutes later and saying, yeah, I'll get it. I'll buy it. $1,000. I have no words for that. Yeah. But at least they're buying it, and I never have to deal with that car again. Hooray.